Hi everyone, I'm Bram from Social Cedar. I will give a webinar today about engagement and how to engage with your investors and create long-lasting relations. Let's dive into it. So today we will be talking about engagement. We will have a small introduction. We will give you the Social Cedar framework and how engagement fits into this framework. We will explain to you what engagement really is. We will tell you on how to engage with your ambassadors. And we will give you some use cases on how engagements and communities are used to promote brands. And we will give you some common barriers that brands have to interact with their communities or create communities. And we will have our takeaways. Please note that this webinar also will be available for downloads. So this means that you just can pay attention to the presentation itself. You don't need to take any screenshots. If you have any questions during the presentation, you have a small toolbox at your right side when you can type in your questions, and I will try to answer them as fast as possible. So, introduction. The challenging part of an ambassador program is maintaining a healthy relationship with your ambassadors. So, like I said, indeed, it's challenging. Currently, a lot of brands still have the trouble of knowledge. They don't know what kind of effect a good engagement can have, or what kind of effect a good community could have on their brand, because they don't know. They also don't know how to create such a community or good relationship with brands. And that's, I think, currently the biggest hurdle for companies. So we will dive into this in this webinar. And we will also see what effect engagement can have as a long-lasting and strong relationship with your ambassador. So we want to see and explain what positive effects a community and engagement will have for you. So we will start with the Social Cedar framework. If you already have joined one of our previous workshops, you might already know this framework. The Social Cedar framework is a 4-step cycle where you can gather all the necessary information to strategize your customized ambassador program. The cycle looks like this. We have recruitment, activation, engagement, and harvest. And for me personally, in this cycle, engagement will be the most valuable aspect. Why? And we will also talk about this later, because engagement will affect all of these steps. Engagement will affect you, the way you recruit or who you recruit, for instance, and will also be the why you can activate your ambassador. Also, it will have an effect on your harvest, because the better the engagement, the better the results of your program, of course. So maybe first an explanation of what engagement really is. So today I said to my girlfriend I would give a talk of 45 minutes to our own supporters and clients about engagement, and she said to me quite instantly, well, I've been talking about engagement for half a year now. So same words, but a different story. But what is engagement now really? Customer engagement is about encouraging your audience to interact and share the experiences you create for them as a business and a brand. So what you want to do is create a positive experience in your brand for your community, and these people, as a result, when executed well, will have a strong engagement to foster your brand and the growth and your loyalty to your brand, of course. So why is it important? So let's break this down in a few titles. The better the engagement is, the better the productivity. And I hope you can relate to this. If you have a positive vibe going on in not only in your community, but in your brand or in your company as in general, like you have the feeling you are co-working with your brand or company instead of working for your company, you are going to behave differently as a person, because they will let you feel important, and when you feel important, you will work harder, you will try harder, you will engage more with your colleagues, but because you are working for a common goal, and that common goal is they think the best driver to have for a community. Getting people on board for something they don't care about won't work. This is also very true. If you are going to start a community or an engagement program within your company, I don't think you can expect that everyone will join in an instant. Also, a community is a segmentation of your company. I'm going to give you an example. For instance, if Sony would start a community, then they won't start a community for everyone who is a customer of Sony. No, they will create a community of a certain segmentation, like for instance, a community of all people that like music, and by extent they will like Sony. The other way around, Sony also does games, so they also already have a community of gamers that they can talk to. So an engaged ambassador enjoys being part of the community, and they like to participate and volunteer. So again, that's a very important pillar. Engaged ambassadors will communicate better about your products. Again, this is very true, and through this webinar, you need to do one thing. All these questions and answers we are going to give to you, you can best reflect on yourself, not as a brand or not as a company, but just imagine yourself on how you would react to a certain situation being asked to join a community. I think that's always the best reflection you can make when thinking about how to make a strategy. So, when creating a community strategy, we see mainly three pillars. It's going to be about identity, it's going to be about experience, and it's going to be about structure. So the blue circle, the inner circle, is going to be your core identity. And this is true not only for your community, but also for your ambassador strategy. This means that everything that you are going to set out in your strategy is going to start from the community itself. And the community itself, I mean the people in it. So first of all, you need to give them an identity. The second is going to be, you need to give them an experience. So what it's going to be like to be in such a community. And the third pillar, structure, is all about management. So how will we organize? How will we have the governance, the financing? What kind of channels and platforms can we use? And how are we going to do the data management? I think it's interesting to break this canvas a little bit further down and to see what we can do. So identity, strong communities have a clear and explicit sense of who they are, why they exist, and what they stand for. So if you are going to ask a employee or an external fan to join their community, they instantly need to know if it's something for them. So they need to be able to relate in what you are going to bring. You need all the like-minded people together. So you need to set the company values and align them with the identity you are going to create. But the other way around, you need to align with your community members also. The second step, the experience, the perspective of the members. How does identity translate into concrete activities that create value for the members? I'm going to leave this open because it's going to be more interesting when you can see the sub-pillars for the experience, because this is pretty important. Structure, I already told you a bit about. The operational elements of running and engaging with a ambassador community. Structure should be very clear also from the start, because if no one oversees what is happening in the community, it can die pretty quickly. I also think that over time you can leave the structure to the community itself, and we have some very clear and great examples in this presentation about this, but I think it's also important to know that you can let go of the reins once your community is taking traction. So how to engage with your ambassadors? So we said that it's very important to establish a clear identity. At the core of everything is the identity. It involves questions of belief and influences all other parts of the community. Who are we and what do we believe in? So we see that what is the purpose of your ambassador program? That is a context that your ambassador needs to receive immediate. If they don't know what the community is going to be raised for, what goals it has, people won't join. People need to be able to relate to the identity. Again, this won't be for everyone. It will be segmented, but it needs to be like-minded people, so the interaction can happen automatically. What values will you stand for? So we also need to know if I am a member of this community, what I as a person will be standing for. So it's like wearing a t-shirt. You need to like the t-shirt or you never will wear it. If it's an image you as a person can't relate to, or text you can't relate to, people won't join. What is a common definition of success? So you always need to set a definition of what the success of a community will be. Will it be once you have 100 members? Will it be once you have achieved a social goal? Will it be a success once you have reached a certain KPI for your brand? That's also an important thing to take in account. How does the community express itself? So you need to think about, if I have a community, how will these people be able to bring or transfer their passion to other like-minded people that might be interested to join? We will also go a bit further in this to see what kind of channels there are available, but it's important to think about. So we have our first case. It's about Komen Greater. It's a brand that brings awareness for breast cancer. So they created a community with a very powerful sentence, "Together we are more." And it already gives you a powerful feeling when reading that sentence, and you already feel that they are quite passionate only by reading it. So the identity of these community members is together we are more than pink. So they want to let you know that they are really standing for what the community stands for as a person. And the purpose is to raise awareness about the breast health and breast cancer services. So they want to create awareness for those people afflicted by breast cancers, not only, but create awareness to people to let them know that breast cancer is a very common thing. The values are empowerment, community, and kindness. So they really have the feeling that they are a one community, that it stands for being there for one another. And the success of definition for them is a community empowered with breast cancer education, opportunities, and hope. So I also think that is a very clear mindset. Create a powerful experience. So what does actually happen in the community and how does it translate its purpose into activities that create tangible value for the members? At first, we have how do people join the community? I think it's important that you have several ways how a community member could opt in. I'm thinking of a lot of offline activity. You will probably hear from a community member or a friend that is in a certain community that he is passionate about. So you need to be able to ask your friend that you can join the community, and that friend needs to know on how to get you in, for instance. The other way around, not only offline but also online. If you Google a certain team with a certain brand, it should be very clear that there is a community there that leads maybe to a community website, and it should be very clear on how to join this and what the requirements are. What experiences do members share? So we talked about that most of the community members will think alike, and I think it's then also important that these people can share their experiences. They need to have a channel for this, not only maybe offline meetings, but also online forums. What rituals happen regularly? Rituals are, I think, a very important driver in what keeps a community alive. Rituals are the common activities a community does. This could range to a lot of things. Could be a regular drink, could be a regular event, could be yeah, I think we will come back on rituals in a use case after this slide that clearly states why rituals are important. What content creates value for the members? So content, knowing what content is important for your community can be a very challenging thing, because when you are creating a strategy, you don't know much yet of your community. So starting out small is also a tip I can give you when creating a community. Normally you will already have some people, not a lot, but some people that are already very much engaged with your brand or community if you already have it. And these people are the people that already share on social media or messages, are the people that participate in projects in your company, and these people already like being engaged. So if you can get these people in one room and you can just ask them, if we were to create a community, what would you like? Not only the content they would like, but also what kind of feeling would you like to have? What is important for you in a community? So this feedback of these ambassadors will be very key before rolling out your community to the greater public. What are community rules? I think it's also important to set out rules. If you don't, I think a community can run a bit rampant and maybe create some diversity in your community where people maybe don't agree with each other's choices. Of course, free speech is also important, but I think it's important to set out some basic rules in what can be or can't be done. What roles can a member play? So if you are not aware as a member of a community in what you can do for your community, then I think you have not the right engagement, or you don't have the right relationship between you and that person. So giving someone a role gives someone a purpose. If he can fulfill this purpose and you give him credit for it, it will only strengthen that relationship. So roles are also a big driver. So second example of a very nice community that's only been created just recently. It's one from Adidas, and these people got to join by invitation of Adidas themselves. They are not influencers. These people are just regular fans of a certain segment of Adidas. For instance, they chose some people that were highly engaged in the segment of football. They created a WhatsApp channel where they got invited, and they receive very premium and first to know content about Adidas and the football aspect. So can you imagine that you join a group where you can talk to like-minded people in a WhatsApp channel, but once in a while Adidas will join in and give you content that isn't available elsewhere before you got it. So it won't be posted on their own social media message. It won't go to the journalists. You will be the first one to get this information and to be able to spread it. So I think that's a very nice thing to have. But the other parts we talked about, the rituals, are also important here. Go to exclusive events, meet players, and watch matches. So I think if you are able to bond with your community members, then the relationship to your brand will also grow. So these exclusive events and meetup of players gets everyone together and gives you this feeling of not being alone. Content, like I said, it was very exclusive. It's not always product related, but because we have the rituals, like the events, you can have these product related content shown to them, because you already have big drivers being the rituals and being the eliteness of the group. They will share your content. The member's role, the center of action, and this is what I said earlier. When you are thinking out a strategy, not only for an ambassador program, but also to create your community, the member or the ambassador is the center of your drawing board on how to create your strategy. A quote about the Tango squad of Adidas. It's about sheer reach. What the hyper-connected kids bring is mass awareness. These are the guys who will push out your stories and content. They give it longevity and authenticity because they are talking in a private message environment. If it comes as a referral from your mate, you're much more likely to pick it up than it comes from a brand. And I think we can all relate to this. If you have any friends who have the same interests as you, you will probably talk about those things. And if they do recommendations regarding, you will probably check it out. Give it a clear structure. So now we will talk about the structure part of your community. This is about ensuring the stability of the community long term. Most communities become more valuable the longer they exist, as trust both among the members and in the overall brand increases. So it needs to be clear who runs the community. Running a community can be done from the side of the company itself or the side of the brand itself, but could also be done from the community itself, so it can be self-steering. How are decisions made in the community? Again, it's the same thing. I think it's important to give your community a voice, but it also should be a company-driven decision, of course. So you need to find a way that these two parties can relate to each other and make decisions together. What channels does the community use to communicate and gather? I think there are some very clear options for this. Of course, we have social media. Again, WhatsApp, I think, is a very good one, like Adidas did. But it doesn't always need to be online. I think offline is very valuable also. Have small chats in team meetings maybe, where everyone can sit together and just talk about their experiences in a certain community. How does the community manage the data of its members? Very important also to see if you want to get learnings on how your community behaves, you need to get these learnings probably out of your members and out of the data those members provide for you. So you need to be clear beforehand on how you will handle this data. Reddit. This is one of my favorites because me personally, I'm a member of Reddit. Reddit is an American social news aggregation, web content rating and discussion website. Reddit's registered community members can submit content such as text, posts, and direct links. So if you have the time right now, you can bring it up if you want. It's www.reddit.com. And the first thing you will notice is a board where a lot of content stories are. So the principle is, for instance, if I join the Reddit community of Kodak, then I could post on these boards a picture I took with my Kodak camera. I could give it a small explanation on what camera I used, what lens I used, what the picture was for, etc., etc. And all the community members of this specific board or general Reddit members can upvote and downvote my posts, and they also can write comments below it. And what happens, the more upvotes I get, the higher my ranking of my posts, and if I'm lucky, my post will make it to the main page. And the main page is what you are seeing right now. If you have Reddit up, the main page is the page with all the most popular posts. So this is what Reddit is, and now we can give you the context of their structure. So everything of Reddit is almost community driven. The administration, so this means the overview of these boards and the rules that are set are done by the community itself. So the community itself chooses what can or what can't be done. Decision making is also something the community does. So if a certain person misbehaves and the community agrees that this person can't join this forum anymore, then they can ban this person. Channels. The channels used by Reddit are, of course, all these social media channels, because you can use the link to post it or to repost it on your social media. The content that is brought to Reddit is just hosted everywhere. You can pop up every website that has a news article, copy the link and post it on Reddit. Now, Reddit has a certain effect. It's also called the /dot effect, and it occurs when a smaller website has a high influx of traffic after being linked to on Reddit. It's also called the Reddit hug of death among the website's users. Because the Reddit is such a large site, the traffic is immense and can easily crash smaller sites. In order for users to see crossed websites, several Reddit bots have been created to take a snapshot of the website before the large amount of traffic flood affects the website. So it's a very common thing to see on Reddit. When a certain article on a minor website reaches this main page with a lot of upvotes, a lot of people are going to want to see it. And it's not a common thing. Then when you visit this page, it's not available anymore. So these bots of Reddit will take a backup snapshot of this website to keep it up. Going back to our 3 pillars. I hope you can now better relate to what identity is, what experience is, and what structure is, and that identity is the real core of your whole strategy before setting out anything else. Engagement use cases. So now, outside of Reddit, we're going to look at a few communities that are a real driven from a brand. So we have H&R Block created a community site that connects users to a tax professional for quick responses. So what did they do? They created a knowledge base that is able to take community content. So me as a community member, if I have certain knowledge about taxes and I see that a lot of people are searching for answers, I could one, answer this question directly on this board, or I can add an article on the knowledge base. And if people are searching for these answers, they can find my answer along. The key strength of this is that it's very genuine. So it's from people to people, and that makes it very transparent and very clear for everyone. It's also highly useful for customers, and it allows users to build a comprehensive resource, not only for the community itself, but again, for the consumers. By now, the community has answered about 1 million questions and generated a 15% lift in business. So again, I think this is the result of a very genuine people-to-people relationship. My Starbucks idea. I think everyone knows Starbucks. It has a very strong identity, but they make it very open for their community members. So they also launched a form where their community members could put in suggestions, like you had the old suggestion box. And for this coffee chain, this had about 150,000 members. So in the last 6 years, it has led to the implementation of nearly 300 innovations. And this shows very clear that the whole strategy behind your brand is coming from your community members and your fans and your customers. So if they feel that it's driven from what they like, then they are going to like your community even more, or your brand even more. So the key strengths here are the actual implementations. So I think the follow-up is here very nice. If people really see that they can make a difference in your community, it's one to give feedback to a brand, but it's another thing to see your feedback implemented. And to get that kind of engagement, I think, is a real asset to your brand's continued progression. Again, the Oracle community, it's the same thing, but in a different industry. Again, people we're looking for easy guides, easy manuals, and easy solutions for a very complex program. So the developers themselves started answering questions of customers in an open community board, and it very quickly grew out to one of the biggest IT boards in the world, where people go to when they need easy solutions for common problems, or complex solutions for complex problems, because the knowledge base is this great. Key strength: a great technical resource which seeks to aid users in solving problems in any way it can, very popular among its target audience. So in the beginning we talked about a bit about what we currently see on how it's a barrier for a brand to start with a community. Like I said earlier also, it's probably because they fear the effect of what a community can do, probably in a negative sense, but that also will be a result because they don't know how to build a good community. So the common problems is what's the program all about? So if your potential community members don't know what the program is all about, then they won't join. I have no clue how it's going to help the company. So if there are no clear goals on why the community is created, it will also lose effect. I'm willing to contribute, but what exactly am I expected to do? Again, these people need very clear goals, what the expectation is of a community member. So our solutions is to give clear information about the program from the beginning. So this means a lot of context. What you will ask and what you will give to a community member. Share your guidelines. It will give them confidence to share content about the organization. This means, for instance, these guidelines that you can make clear to your community if you reach out a specific piece of content where they can use it to post on. So if it's not clear for a normal social media user where they can post your content best to get the most impact out of it or the most engagement of their own social media network out of it, you can set out a few guidelines in a sense of you can best post this kind of content on LinkedIn or this kind of content on Facebook. Or if you get maybe any negative comments on your post, for instance, this is how you can react, or this is where you can go to. Be transparent and share accomplishments. So I think the transparency is very clear and very normal. Share accomplishments is also to connect to each other within a community. If you see that your community is moving forward in a general sense as a member, I think that's also a perk to stay in that community. So if you see progress, it will affect your longevity. Motivational barrier. So little perceived personal benefits and time crunch makes investors skeptical, which is normal, of course. The common questions here will be, what's in it for me? I don't see anyone else doing it, then why should I? And I don't have time for this, I'm already swarmed with work, are common responses. So the solutions for this will be make it easy for the investor to contribute. So remove barriers to participation. This reconnects to it should be easy to join. It should be easy to share your experiences. It should be easy to talk with the members of this community. So it should be easy in general. Tap into social cues. Peer success stories inspire ambassadors to emulate similar behavior. So you need to make your power ambassadors or your community members aware that they affect their surroundings with their passion being in this community. And you can learn your community members to use this to their advantage to recruit new members. Reward and recognize. First thing I want to say about reward is the incentive of a reward is not going to be if you join our community, you are able to win a 700 euro iPhone. That's not a reward. A reward should be or should come from your rituals. The reward could be going to that football match, going to that dinner with your community members. That's the reward you want to give to your ambassadors. And recognize, of course, if a community members do something good or something valuable for you, give them the feedback that it's valuable for you so that they know that they did something good. Get the leaders involved. I think it's normal when you start this kind of program, it should work top down so that if people see that everyone in the company participates, that they are not left behind. If a CEO joins your community, I'm pretty sure the rest of the company will join very shortly. We are back at the ambassador canvas. So this is the canvas of Social Cedar. I showed you the pillars of our circle earlier, and this once more shows the place of engagement. You will first recruit, then activate, then create your community, which affects all the other pillars, which affects also your last bits, your harvesting. Which means that your KPIs will be handled. So our takeaways for this webinar. The setup of your program with a clear engagement strategy, identity, experience, and structure. So we saw that setting up a good community leans heavily towards 3 pillars. These are the identity, experience, and structure. If you keep this in mind, then we are sure you will be successful. Engage in the ambassador program yourself. If you won't join your own ambassador program or you won't join your own community, this will not be a good example for the rest of your people that need to join your community. Start small. I give the example of using the power ambassadors. So try to use them to reflect on the state of your strategy, get all the data from them to create a good canvas, and then use that data to roll out big. Be genuine. Try to not We are not talking in a community. It's not about talking from brand to community or from community to brand. You really talk from human to human. And I think that's a very important thing. Adjust your tone of voice, adjust yourself to these people that you have identified as your community. Encourage and reward good performing ambassadors. Again, if you are going to do this, then the relationship will only strengthen between you and your ambassadors or your community, and it will be a very easy thing to maintain your relationship. So if you have any more questions, you can reach us at socialcedar.com, or you can get in touch at community@socialcedar.com. I will now answer, if there are any questions, I will answer the questions right now. If you have any more questions after the question rounds, you can email me personally at bram@socialcedar.com. So let's see if there are any questions. Okay, I don't see any current questions. Again, if you want to reach out to me, you are able to do so. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.